She is a singer, songwriter, producer, manager, actress, author, and also a teacher. She will soon be celebrating her 70th career anniversary and has recently launched her new album called To Exist and Be Heard. Please welcome the unique and timeless PatsyGallant.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss PatsyGallant.
People, the great PatsyGallant.
Wow! I can expect that and I cake them so. Wow!
Patsy.
Oh no! Oh my God! Oh, thank you, they're so beautiful! Hey, je te dis que ça paraît, Des yeux qui font baisser les miens, un rire qui se perd sur sa bouche. Voilà le portrait sans retouche de l'homme auquel j'appartiens. Quand il me prend dans ses bras, il me parle tout bas, je vois la vie en rose. Il me dit des mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours, et ça me fait quelque chose. Il est entré dans mon cœur une part de bonheur dont je connais la cause. C'est lui pour moi, moi pour lui dans la vie. Il me l'a dit, me l'a juré pour la vie. Et dès que je l'aperçois, alors je sens en moi mon cœur qui bat.
Patsy, it's an honor to have you with us this afternoon on
Thank you
this
very much,
great
Nathalie.
day. You're shining the whole building, so that's great.
Thank you, Nathalie.
Our association is also celebrating its 50th anniversary, so there's a lot to celebrate today. And I'm going to start, and I'm going to read this because there's a long list of her achievements, so if you don't mind. You managed to give to the world 30 albums, sell more than 3 million, won a Félix, 2 victoires de la musique en France, 3 Junos. You were decorated with the Order of Canada in 2018. You were recently awarded at the East Coast Music Awards in Fredericton. You launched in 2020 your book, Ma vie en technicolor, great book.
Thank you.
And in June 2022, just a few days ago, you unveiled your new baby, To Exist and Be Heard, a new album of 18 original songs you wrote in English, composed in English.
French also.
And in French. Quite a journey.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And was that a long-term project for you?
It was, and the reason it took so long is because, well, there were many reasons. First of all, it's always the money. But mostly, I think I was afraid to... nobody knows I'm a composer and a writer. And I was afraid that they would not like what I wrote, and because they know me so well as the disco queen. And people, if you go back in my career, I didn't always just do disco, you know. I did rock and funk and blues and all that. And then it was in English, so I was worried because I live in Quebec, and you know, in the 70s there's a lot of political, you know, problems with French and English. I mean, it's much better now. And finally, I took those songs and remade them and redid them and recomposed them, and I worked on them for the last 30 years. And I was never satisfied, and I wasn't quite ready, and I was still afraid of this, afraid of that. Finally, I got to the age that I am, and I said, if I don't do this before I go, it's going to be too late. Well, I still have my voice and my energy. And I finally found someone that I call today my musical soulmate. His name is Thibas, known better as Jean-Sébastien Fournier. And we worked in the studio for the last year together. And really, an incredible osmos. He understands my musical language, because don't forget, I don't read or write music, okay? I do it all on my iPhone or on the piano by myself. Wow. And I wanted this album also to be very modern. So I was flabbergasted when I started, and I had worked with him for 30 years ago, and we accidentally met through a web series I've just done, which is called De Pierre en Fille. I'm playing as an actress. I'm playing
Yes.
a young grandmother.
Young.
And we had to do a song in this web series, and they took me to his studio, and I can't remember where it is, Blainville or something like that. And they said his name is Sebastian, and it meant something to me, but I couldn't remember. And he says, Patsy, we worked 30 years ago. 30 years ago. And then we did the song, and I saw how he worked. He has a studio in his own house. And I saw how he worked. I said, this guy is not only good, he's fantastic. So after I finished, I said, if I do an album, can I do it here? Would you be interested? He says, I would be honored. So you make me a good price?
Yes.
He said, yes. And I swear, 2 months later, I started working with him.
18 songs
18 songs,
later.
very proud. There's a lot of chansons engagées. You know, so I talk about Manhattan, 9/11. I talk about la situation de la femme, la condition de la femme. It's a song I wrote called Manhattan. Ain't No Way to Treat a Woman.
Can you do us a little part? Because I love that song. Just
Okay, I'll do you the last verse that I wrote when Malala got shot. You know, the young girl, 13 years old in Afghanistan. She got the Nobel Peace Prize because she wanted her colleagues to go to school, her feminine colleagues. And look at where Afghanistan is today, and look what happened today. I mean, it's just horrible. It's this big earthquake. So I wanted to modernize this song. I had wrote it almost 30 years ago. And I did the last verse, and I put Malala's name in it. And it says, 10,000 years of love and dedication, still there is no justice in sight. It takes someone like Malala to deliver real humana, to finally exist and be heard, which I took for the title of my album.
This is
Ain't No Way to Treat a Woman.
Incroyable. Ça boucle la boucle. And this is, you mentioned 30 years ago, the voice is so crystal on that album.
It's crazy.
It's incredible. The same voice as 30 years ago.
I think it's even better, without being pretentious, because I developed a bigger range in my age. So I developed more bottoms. I lost a little bit of top, but my top, like those coloratura notes in the what I call the head voice, is still there and better. But in the high vocal, full voice range in the top, I lost a bit of that. But it's nicer, it's rounder today. Whereas when I was younger, in my 20s, the voice was very, very high, but when I listen to it today, I find it annoying. Oh. But it was, in those days, the higher you sang, the better they thought you were, you know? And it was also a style. But I feel that my voice has rounded out over the years, and it expanded in a better way, you know?
That's incredible. And you mentioned in one interview that you are... When you did Starmania, for example, you were an athlete. You had to work to keep your voice in shape.
I don't know how I did that.
It's incredible.
The first year was very difficult. Paris is a very polluted city, and I wasn't used to because it's in a bowl, eh? I wasn't used to that pollution, and I used to, like, get something in my throat. So they sent me to the operatic doctor, a fantastic doctor. And they've got all kinds of natural medicine there and everything. And I learned how to pace myself, because it's a muscle, eh? Mm-hmm. It's like when you start running, you don't start running all the way to the end and fast. You have to develop faut que tu muscles ce muscle, faut que tu entraînes ce muscle. And after 1 year, that was it. I started getting my cruising. And at the end of the 11 years, of the 8 years in Starmania, my voice was at its total peak. It's like an Olympic racehorse. It's like at the top. It couldn't have been more extraordinary. I could do anything.
And you never missed one show.
I'm one of the
Not
only
even.
ones. I don't know how I did it. And I was the oldest.
And you were there
J'étais la
for
doyenne.
incroyable.
8 ans,
Consécutifs.
7 shows par semaine, 8 ans consécutifs dans le même rôle.
It's amazing.
8 consecutive years in the same role, doing the same song every night, same songs. How do you keep that alive? How do you keep it alive? I'm an actress. So I use everything as an actress and I put it in the song. And also you feed off of the audience. You go with the audience, how they feel one night, you know, or how your day was. If it was raining today, then I'll use that, you know, when I sing at night. I'll sing it more, you know, melancholic or, you know, I use everything to keep it alive. Because if you get on automatic pilot, and people know, they know.
So I was going to say that our association is, you know, managers, executives at the school board level. We're for the English Montreal School Board. You're 74 years young, and your career is going strong. So what message do you have for people, probably like me, because I can't foresee retiring anytime in the near future. I'm 59, but I don't see myself retiring. What is your message to people who love what they do and should keep on going and not feel they should retire?
Well, first of all, you said it yourself. You have the passion. You can't see yourself stopping because you love what you do. You have to love what you do. And I think the most important thing is you always have to have something to do. You always have to keep yourself busy. You have to, you can't just stay there and wait after people, which is what I did with my album. And, you know, no matter what, even if it's like helping other people, you gotta keep busy. You gotta have a project. You have to make yourself have things to do. You know?
Great answer.
And the last 2.5 years have been challenging for everybody in the world because of the pandemic. We as a school board have been challenged, but we've also had opportunities with virtual meetings and so on and so forth. Our schools have kept going. They've been thriving. So how did you handle the pandemic?
Well, before I tell you how I handled mine, I want to talk about the pandemic with the schools and the children especially. How difficult it is for children to go on Zooms and learn that way because their development is they have to be in a class. They have to have their friends. They have to have this social thing. So it must have been very difficult for them. But there's also a positive thing. They learned something new. They can eventually use it. But it did last a long time. And I think it affected some of the children that are in school today. You can't learn that. One-on-one, talking, it's like, when you talk on the phone, you have these machines. It's terrible. You have, still today, I like to write. I still like to write. You have to have something one-on-one as a human being. You learn much better. You see the face, you see the expressions, and it's so important for learning and for children. So I hope this is never going to get back to where it was. But I try to look at the positive thing about it is that they learned something new. Because they were forced to. Even adults did. Like people working in their homes, they had to do it. Listen, I had to do Zooms. You had to see the television show that I did when I did my first Zoom. They laughed so much that they put it on the Oscars. I mean, the police called while I was trying to do the Zoom. I had a new phone and I was trying to click the number in. And then they said, police? I said, oh, no, sorry, I'm doing a show. I didn't want to call you. Well, hang up. And I couldn't find the thing. Oh, it was just horrible. And anyway, they laughed so much that they said, we're sorry it took too long. We'll call you back. I said, I've been preparing for a week. Wait a minute. Anyway, it was so funny that they put it on. But I learned. I know how now, and it's better if you have somebody. It's always better. But it's been very difficult. And to answer your question, how did I handle the pandemic? Well, I got myself something to do. I wrote my book.
There you go.
I was in my bed every day while my rédactrice was next to me. I told her my story because it's my story. Nobody can tell my story like me because it's my life. And sometimes there were words they wanted to take out. I said, no, This is the way I spoke when I was a child in New Brunswick. And of course, she did a great amount of work. She did a lot of research, made sure I had my years right. And when she talked, for instance, when I was working on the Main in Montreal in the 1960s, and I was working in cabarets, and I was 8 years old, then she started saying, well, these were the people that were on that street and working. These are the artists that were working there. So she embellished all of this stuff in my book with my story. And I kept busy that way, and I'm glad. It was a perfect timing for me.
And I've heard that things you didn't say in your book that you wrote in your album, that you say in your album through your songs,
yeah.
right?
Well, the idea was when I went to Québécois, les éditions La Semaine, I think that I'm with, I said, you know, that was the album that is now. I said, you know, when my sister died, I wrote a song on her. I had two that went away since then, and I have one in the hospital now, so it's not funny. And they're part of the Gallant sisters. So you can imagine they were close to me. We sang together all our lives. And I said, you know, it would be nice if I could, when I talk about them, when I do the chapter about them, that you put the words of the song that I wrote for them. And they said it's a great idea. So that's what we did. So when I talk about a song that I did about a lover, I write it there. There was a lover, he didn't want me to talk about it, and I said, okay, I won't talk about it, too bad. So I said, I think I put the song, but I didn't put the name.
That's it.
Anyway, it was funny.
Perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
As an artist, do you feel that you are now more in control than ever? Because you once said, and I'm going to say it in French because that's how she said it, j'ai le droit d'avoir le contrôle de mon image quand on a eu le contrôle de moi pendant tant d'années.
Oui, mais on n'a toujours pas le contrôle de son image, malheureusement. On est dans cette technologie-là, and we're in this technology. You try to have the control the more that you can. But when you're going on stage, everybody has their camera. And I was in Florida doing a big show a couple of months ago, and somebody was filming, and she was filming the whole show. I had to stop singing because I can't concentrate. There's a light in front of me as a girl standing up in front of everybody. I said, excuse me, please, it's so hard for me to concentrate. I don't mind you filming a few things, but not the whole show. Otherwise, why are you coming to see me? So it's very, and you're not supposed to film during a show.
No.
But you know, when you have a crowd of 5,000 people and they're young, they're used to that. That's the way they're brought up. And you don't have the control. When they get at home, the song is bad, the sound is bad, the angle is bad, the lighting is bad, but there's nothing you can do about it. The only time I can control is what I'm doing now, which I did with my album, which I did with my book. You know, I had a lot to say for my book. Even the paper, I wrote it in my contract, that I wanted a certain paper. I didn't want a cheap paper. Because we live in a country that has paper, and they do books that the paper is so cheap, and because you save money, okay? I put it in my contract because I wanted a nice quality paper. It's important.
So you're a great manager. You manage yourself.
Apparently, I was one of the first producers who produced an album in Canada, my own album. I didn't know that, somebody told me. Oh. And yes, this time I really did it all. So this time, I'm finally going to get everything. I take the bad stuff with the good stuff. You know, j'assume, okay? But so far it's been good and the reaction's been really great.
When you look at the top qualities of a manager, you see that be confident and develop adaptability is right there in the top 10. And in my book, they're called PatsyGallant qualities, you know.
Oh, that's sweet.
You never cease to amaze us by reinventing yourself, first of all.
Yeah, that's very important.
That's the secret of your success.
Oh, it's, you know, I don't live in the past. You know, I had hits, I sold millions of records, big deal. What are you doing today? The important thing is what you're doing today, what people are seeing today. They can always go back and listen and think. But can you imagine if I started thinking, well, I used to be this and I'm this and now you must give me this. No. Show me what you can do now, maybe I'll pay you. You know, I don't know. I'm a little bit hard on myself, but that's how I keep being creative and advancing. And you must, because it's so important and it's so wonderful to learn new things. I love to learn. I'm incessantly curious. I am still, I'm trying to look for the word, inquisitive, you know? And it's a sign of intelligence. I used to think I wasn't intelligent. I want you to know that. Because I didn't have a lot of schooling. I thought it was the same thing. Later on, I found out it has nothing to do with intelligence, you know. I learned the hard way. I learned from traveling all over the world. I learned the culture. I learned how to like myself, how to get my confidence by knowing these things. You know, and they often say, better to know a lot, wait a minute, let me get it right. Better to know a little bit of everything than a lot of one thing, right?
Right.
Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I
But you
feel
know,
the
when
same
you're
way.
a scientist, you know, he doesn't have time to go to the disco
Yeah.
shows, you know.
Yeah.
But I understand that. But it's good because when you learn that way, then you get to meet people, and when you get to meet people and listen to people, that's how you become a better person. It's by communicating.
We're an English school board, but most of our students are actually in French immersion, and you're fully bilingual. You speak both languages flawlessly. So what message do you have to the youth to know both languages?
I would tell the youth, if you can learn 5 languages, go ahead. French is the hardest. I want you to know that French is the hardest because of all the verbs and everything. What I did when my son was 1 year old, his father is from Alberta. And he only spoke English in the house. And I'm from New Brunswick. And I speak both languages at the same time. Like, attends-moi sur le corner, il y a un car qui s'en vient, tout le horn, je vais aller chercher une livre de butter, puis je reviens back. So it gets a little confusing. So I said, you know what? I like the French. And I went to, I'm one of the only of the 10 children that went to French school in New Brunswick. I went to French school all the way. So when my son was born, I said, his father is English. He'll never learn French because it was too hard for him. My son is going to learn French. I made him double his first year so that he could learn the French better. And can you imagine when he got to Paris, how he learned French?
Is that
and
where
how
he
was-
lives? Does he live in Paris?
Yeah,
now?
he lived in and when I did Starmania, his name was in the contract.
Wow.
He was 8 years old, my dear.
Oh,
I was
my.
not leaving my son.
Wow.
He was coming with me. He
Okay.
was in my contract.
Smart.
Great.
And he went to French school. It was awesome. Then he moved to LA. He had to go back to English school. Then he moved to Alberta. Then he had to go in another school. Then he moved back to France. He speaks 3 languages now. He had a choice between German and Spanish. And I said, if you want it to be easy, you better take Spanish because it's closer to the French. And so he speaks 3 languages. And perfect. In fact, Jason has got an extraordinary ear. He can do about 15 different languages flawlessly.
Amazing.
Doesn't understand them or speak them necessarily, but imitates them. So it's all in the ear. He's also a singer, so that's why. Learning French for your, French is hard. I sometimes told, especially if they're younger, I said, listen to Sesame Street, you know, in French and
what I
English,
did.
and speak with people that speak French. And today there's applications on Google that are so good, but listen to French TV. Force yourself to listen. If French is really hard, okay?
So you would say that être bilingue, c'est gagnant, because that was the
Oh, no.
award-winning campaign
No,
of
it's-
EMSB
it has to be.
hosted by Mike
That's our
Cohen.
slogan.
That's our
Listen,
slogan.
I understand the Quebec political message of not losing their language, and it has to be that way, and I agree with it. Like the Autochtones, you know, that lost their language. Nobody should lose their culture or their language. But you don't have to eliminate the other ones, you know? Let's try and work together. And English is also an international language, you know? No matter how you look at it, it's there.
Yeah.
But French, once you know French, you're going to be so proud of knowing French. When you go to a country and you can communicate with them, it makes you very proud
Yeah.
to learn another language.
70 years as an entertainer. Wow. I want to go back to the mid-70s, if you don't mind, because I love that decade. I know you love it too. And from New York to LA, would you say that that song that launched your international career in the 70s?
Yes,
Or-
yes, of course.
Yes, I know it went to the top of the charts in South Africa, in Japan, Germany, Australia, Europe. You even
Sweden.
Sweden, Top of the Pops. Did you sing at Top of the Pops?
Yes, I did.
You did?
Top of the Pops, where the Beatles sang.
Top of the Pops.
Yeah.
And you inspired another great Canadian artist, Jan Arden.
What I would not do to have Patsy Gallant come and be in season 4 when the COVID restrictions are lifted, when we're traveling a little bit more freely. Yes, Patsy, season 4, we're coming for you. Please. And the scene, you could be like in a restaurant, I recognize you and I freak the hell out and I ruin your entire lunch. Super fanning you. You don't even have to learn a lot of lines, Patsy, I swear. Mind you, you could act circles around anybody, so.
Oh my goodness,
you
I
know?
just spoke to her.
You just spoke
She
to
is
her?
a true fan.
She is a true
And you know,
fan.
when she became famous, I was in Paris for 11 years, so I had no idea who she was
Wow.
until the person who works with me, oh, this girl is international. And I finally saw her sing and act. She's wonderful.
So you never met her, but
I
you
never
spoke
met
to
her.
And
I
she
spo-
hasn't invited you to be on her TV show?
Well,
Yes.
she couldn't because it was already over, because it's lately, and I was supposed to go and see her show just lately, but unfortunately I had a show in Florida, so
Okay.
couldn't see her.
That
But
could
we'll-
be arranged.
No, we're going to, we have to
Yes.
meet. She's wonderful.
That led you to have your very own TV show on CTV called?
The Patsy Gallant show. They used to say Patsy Gallant,
Yes.
not PatsyGallant.
And that aired
Every Thursday night.
every Thursday night.
Yeah.
And why did it stop?
I quit. I quit because
quit.
it was very grueling, and I felt I was being used like a product. I would start at 7:30 in the morning and finish at 12 moins 1, and they wouldn't let me go, even in that minute. I had to work, and I lost about. I became down to 95 pounds.
Oh, my.
Because I was dancing and singing. I was learning 40 songs in 4 days, and filming 4 shows in 10 days. So it became too much for me,
Yeah.
and I wasn't enjoying it anymore. No matter how much it paid, I don't do things for money. And I left, and it was shocking to them because I was at the top. I left the show at the very top. It was the highest listened
Well, that's
show
the way
in
to
Canada.
exit, at the top.
Yeah, I think so too. Anyway,
Yeah.
but they weren't happy.
No, well, you were confident. You
Yeah.
said my mental health is
Yeah,
important.
my,
and
oh
then
yeah, my
that's-
health will always be a priority.
Absolutely. And I just want to mention, because in the early 2000s, you were a teacher, a professor, and a coach at Star Academy in France.
In France, in
And
Paris.
did
yeah.
you enjoy teaching?
I enjoyed it very much, but it's very difficult because the French singers want to sing English and they can't speak a word of English. You see, that's where they should have learned English, a second language. They don't understand, they do it phonetically. And one girl wanted to do Beyonce. And I said, well, that's a mouthful. So I got her to do the phrasing, but we never understood a word. But it was funny. It was just funny.
So,
It was challenging.
we need teachers at EMSB. We never know. Would you be interested? maybe?
Sure,
Yeah?
sure.
I
I'd
was
be
going to say
great.
the same thing, that, you know,
I do master classes.
I would say that keep us in mind. We definitely will look you up for our
It's
teacher
so much
recruitment in
fun.
the fall.
You know, the first master class I did, I walked in and I did not prepare anything. But what I did ask is for the students to prepare things. And then I took them one by one on stage,
Wonderful.
listened to them, and then I told them what they could do, what they should do, how they're doing it, why they shouldn't do that. And it just became natural. And at the end of the day, I'd done 4 hours and I didn't know. So anytime you're ready, I love it.
All right, it's a deal.
Keep that
Deal.
in mind. And before you leave, Patsy, speaking of teaching, I want to introduce you, Michael. Please
Michael, thank you.
Get
Oh, yes, I'm
the-
going to
the
stand
gift.
up.
We have
and
a
I'm gonna-
special treat for you.
No, come on, you already gave me flowers. It's beautiful.
Well, it is with great pleasure that AQCS
Oh my
EMSB
God!
section wishes to recognize you as one of Canada's icons of entertainment
Wow.
as you approach your 70th career anniversary.
That is, I feel I went to
this as
school.
well.
Yes, and
Yeah.
in
And
recognition.
And I've always wanted to go to university, and here I get all
So
this.
you are an honorary member of our association,
That's it.
and we hope from this visit you had with the English Montreal School Board sector that in the future you can meet the association at large, which has members across the province.
Well, I would love to, and it was an honor for me also. And anytime you need me here, Bring on the kids. I'm there for them.
You got it. That's
Okay?
a deal.
So these are for your autographs because you're going to sign so many more.
Thank you so
And
much. It's so beautiful. The wood is beautiful.
This is to remind you of the room.
I know. It's so gorgeous, this place.
And we want to thank you
Like
again.
the old days. It's
Yes.
beautiful.
And you are welcome back anytime as an
Oh, it's
honorary member.
beautiful.
You come in anytime.
Thank you so much,
Thank
both
you,
of you,
Patsy.
Natalie and Michael.
Perfect.
It was a great honor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat.
I can feel the fire. You give love and it's good, I can't get much higher. I think you need a girl just like me. I can show you secret places. Take me away from this world of hate. Can't get enough of you. Life is too short, let's live day to day. Saddle me up and let's play. Saddle me up and let's play. La la la.